Multi-exclusive dimensional being card with another exclusive. This video is going to be about how to get over your ex, your hex, or a person, place, or thing that you experience a downfall with being in a relationship, or things that's basically popping back up. Because as you know, we in retrograde. We just got out of Venus retrograde, so of course, boyfriends and girlfriends from the past is previously going to be hitting you up. This will start creating catastrophic events and causing all kind of circumstance situations. So of course, stars never lie, but people, places, and things can lie. Because this can lead to somebody getting into a circumstance situation where y'all was previously done. The universe separated y'all, and then of course, y'all come back face to face again, and then a circumstance situation happen, a catastrophic event. You might just wind up killing this person just because there was another one night stand, and then boom, retrograde hit y'all, and then all of a sudden, time passed. You start picking up different feelings, emotions, and different spirits that once used to basically walk on this planet Earth, that was so into having one night affairs, and some of them got caught up, some of them got killed. So of course, once the spirits see that light, once they see you basically presenting that, that's like mom and dad checking you. So of course, these spirits that was attached to this world and basically didn't die in peace, they gonna basically take a shape and form, and they gonna play out through the natures as what you're doing. And of course, depending on once they get that experience and shit, once you bust that first nut, everything basically just start coming back into play. Like, wait, you realize you was just possessed, and of course, you took the circumstance, situation, opportunity to basically push yourself out there to go ahead and take into consideration that you just wanted to go get with that chick, have a one night stand. But also, let's get into a hex. What is a hex? A hex is basically something. It could be a person, place, or thing, because hex plays out in many ways, shapes, and forms. Through the objects and the materialistic things that you have, through people, places, and things, whether this is your family members or a person that you was in a relationship previously in the past. This play out on big levels because once we start getting deeply rooted into our desires and shit, and once we get caught up into our lower animalistic natures, we start getting too attached. And when we get too attached, and once our spirit get too much, and when it's time to basically move on and have space for ourselves, these things can get very catastrophic and crazy because we don't know what to do without this person. We don't know what to do without this object. And once things are taken from us, we act like little kids. We cry, we nag, we brag and shit. And of course, once relationships are ended off in a bad way, a hex is basically starts to formulate. This can deal with sorcery. This can deal with mysticism. This can deal with a love spell, because we get into relationships and shit, and the people, places, and things, whatever they've been through or whatever are enhancing their bodies and shit. You don't know what spirits is in these people's bodies. You don't know what spirits is basically taking shape and form and controlling these people. So basically, you get deeply rooted and deeply in love with this person, and then time has passed, and then you start to really see their true colors. You start to realize and see of the person who they was in the beginning. So that's why it's always important to make sure when you do get in relationships and y'all are being committed, make sure you basically keeping it real. Cause we all gonna sneak around, we all gonna have fun and shit until somebody find out. Cause what goes in the dark gonna come in the light, so you can't really hide from shit too. You know what I'm saying? You got certain people that's really deeply rooted into this shit, to the point they will put a gun to your head just for you cheating on them and pull that motherfucking trigger. You got some people that will do it, get away with it, and some people that will do it, get caught, and they won't do the time. Now, depending on how deeply rooted that person was when they died from basically toning and messing around, they can also get physically attached to this shit, to the point they gonna come back and haunt that spirit that killed them. And depending on how spiritually strong you are, you'll be able to attain this shit. But this play out many mechanisms in our lives and shit. So that's why it's always good to keep it real and good to let people know if they cheating. This way things won't be too like put out there, and you would catch the alert. You're like, okay, cool. There's no need to basically be with this person. That's why it's always good to end relationships on good terms. Because when you end relationships on bad terms, negativity, demonic spirits, and all kind of possessions start to take place in your life. You know what I'm saying? That's like you basically being in a relationship with somebody, and of course, people talk, people see things for what it truly is. Rumors start to get spread, shit start to happen and shit. So of course, people are sharing these experiences and basically talking about what's going on with other people in the relationships and shit. And when this plays out, people, start running their mouth. And depending on what kind of person you is, or who, if you in a relationship with somebody and you talking bad about them and shit, now once you start to do that shit, you start to tell other people about it. So now, not only are you creating a catastrophic event, you creating a hex, and this hex start to get bigger and bigger and stronger. And when the hex start to get bigger and stronger, what happens is you tell somebody else the hex get bigger. You tell somebody else the hex gonna get even more bigger. It start to get strong now, and then the more people you tell about this circumstance situation, and you're not there to basically explain two sides of the story, demonic and catastrophic shit can happen. And this goes to basically from shit you post on Facebook, shit you post on Snapchat, or whatever your social media you use. When people that fucks with you and see this shit, of course they gonna be like, oh yeah, facts, fuck that person, fuck that person. But whole time they don't know what the person did that posted the shit did to that person. So it's like, of course, that's why it's always good to basically pay attention. Believe everything, but don't believe in it. Because once you believe into what somebody is telling you or what they did to that person, you start to basically help them with their cloud. And when you add in a dark cloud, and when you add a dark cloud over your head, of course you're gonna feel that shit. Feel me? You're gonna start feeling that shit. You're gonna start picking up feelings and emotion and negativity from other people, places, and things. And this plays out on a huge level. So, feel me? Now it's up to you to basically redirect this energy and put it somewhere where it won't basically affect you. And just don't pay attention to it at all. Because when you start to pay attention to this shit, and when you start to eat the fruit and you don't question this shit, that's when Adam and Eve come into play. Because of course, Adam and Eve have a hex. Now, depending on how deeply rooted they are, because I believe everything, but I don't believe in this shit. Of course, depending on how deeply rooted they was and attached to this physical, that's how it would take a shape and form. Because you got to look at it like this: that apple was the hex. Now, depending on what state of being you in, if you in a good state of being and you eating an apple, and of course you're not having no guilt, you're not having no negative tensions about eating the apple, of course everything gonna go into play. Even if you do get questioned, you just tell the person, yo, I ate the fruit. What happened? What you gonna do? You ain't gonna do shit. Feel me? I'm a spirit in the body just like you. If you wanna scrap, you can scrap. Feel me? But if you want to the verb of basically saying, oh, it was by mistake, I ain't mean to do it. Of course, look at what state of being you in. Now you're gonna create more spirits that's gonna be on the person's side that's asking the question, and they're gonna basically go attack you. Because you gotta look at it like this: you are creating this realm of reality. You are creating this existence. And until you realize that shit, you have to repeat this whole process again until you truly find your state of being in your right spiritual path. Because you don't want to put yourself in a circumstance, situation, or predicament where you basically be psyching your mind up and psyching intentions to basically put yourself out there like that. It's going to affect you in many ways, shapes, and forms. And it's going to break you down and harm on your spirit too. So you got to be very, very careful with how you basically express and push out certain meanings and reasonings when you're out there, or basically whoever you're talking to. That's why it's also another good thing too, not to be telling people about your relationship issues and shit like that, because when you do that shit, you don't know if this person got you in their best interests. And depending on what kind of spirit is in that person, that person might just want to get with the person you with at the moment and shit. So it plays out in many mechanisms like that. So of course, if something bad is going on and you tell somebody about it, of course the other person gonna tell somebody else. It's gonna slip out. It's gonna be pushed out there. Feel me? And then no matter which way you look at it, once something leaves your mind, or once you start thinking about and feeling about a certain person, circumstance, situation, you start to admit that into the universe. Feel me? And then remember, energy never dies. It's only getting reciprocated. And once it starts to get passed on and passed on to generations and generations, that's when it becomes even more of a hex and basically start to take shape and form in many directions and many paths and shit. for it to create a cloud and come down into existence. Because you got fire, which is the burning sensation, which is basically aggression, passion, will. You got you got many ways for it can play out. You got water, which is the feelings and emotions, and you got air, which is the thinking, the communication, and you got earth, which is the way you set up shop. So you got to make sure when you have, I'm gonna basically teach you how to get out of this certain situation, basically being a hex, because being in a hex can play out in many ways. You could be getting stalked by people, you can be getting death threats, death notes and shit, and it plays out on the deepest level and shit. So you wanna make sure you be careful with these circumstances situations, because these can play out life and death situations to the point where it can follow you and can fuck up chances and opportunities for yourself. Yeah, the person you with might come to your job and might spaz out and shit. And of course, you're gonna be held responsible because you know this person, and depending on how you react to this shit, it could put you in circumstances and situations you might get fired from your job, or it may play into different catastrophic events. Person might burn your house down or some shit. Feel me? So you got to be very careful and very alert of who and what you deal with, because you don't know if they got you in your best interest. Feel me? People go missing for shit like this too. And a lot of people don't make the news. A lot of shit don't make the news. But basically, let's get into the whole purpose of basically how to break this motherfucking hex, feel me? So I'm gonna get you the fuck up out of there. First thing first, whoever you basically dealing with, if they put a hex on you, you would know, because basically you would start to you would start to experience a whole lot of shit. You get deja vu. You would start picking up feelings and emotions and negative thoughts, ideas, and concepts. So boom, right off the back, especially if y'all ended on bad terms and this person is still stalking you. First thing first, block their number, delete all their messages, block them from emails, Facebooks, people, places, and things block them too, get rid of them, cut them out. Make sure you cross their names out, everything. Now, what you want to do is you also want to get pen and paper. Now, as soon as you get pen and paper, write down, you can write this to yourself. You can write what intentions you want to leave your manifestations, your space, your life. Write that down on paper. Boom. Now, once you write that on paper, what you want to do is you want to make sure you put intent and will to utilize that you want to get rid of this person. You don't want to experience this person calling you or getting into contact with you. And of course, you don't want to. Then you don't want to be picking up unseen forces from this person or whatever they direct that energy towards you. Make sure you write on paper and make sure you really mean this shit too. So once you do that, boom, you got to use the four elements, which is fire, water, air, and earth. Practicality. You got to put this into practice. You got to put this into being aggressive. You got to add good feelings, emotions of basically saying how it will feel to basically be free from this person. Once you do that shit, anything that holds a representation or a remembrance or a memory of this person, make sure you burn it, whether it's clothes, photos, anything. Because once you do this, fire kills, fire burns everything. Fire destroys and destructs everything. So once you're utilizing that, that's what you're going to do, right? Also, what you can do is with the letter thing, you can basically sit down, meditate on it, and clear your mind too. You already got the intentions on what you want to do. You got to make sure you clear your mind, because you can't go in here with a lot of thoughts, feelings, emotions out there. It's going to be very uncomfortable. So once you clear your mind and basically be in a good vibe, like smile and something, put yourself in a good state of being, this won't basically harness or come on you. Another thing what you can do also, light a candle as you're doing this too. You can also basically, like stare at the candle, meditate with the candle. Basically, now you can also orchestrate on what the candle gonna do. As the candle burns, it will be burning any negative feelings, thoughts, ideas, and emotions and concepts about this person. Boom. And depending on how much time you put into that, that's how much you're gonna get back. So when the person do call you, when the person do try to get in contact with you, or the person does send negative feelings, emotions, ideas, and concepts about you, it won't come to you. It'll try to hit you, it'll try to attack you, but the fire and the ritual that you did with the paper and the things that you burn is basically gonna harness that energy. And if you don't pay attention to this person, it won't affect you. But the moment you do pay attention to this person, it's gonna affect you. So that's the whole purpose of doing the ritual of getting rid of this person. So burn anything, clear your mind, have clairvoyance, put time into that. Feel me? And write down on paper what you don't want to experience from this person. You can go outside, do a 360, turn around, get spiritually inclined with yourself, and basically that person will be exited out your life. And if they want to get into the sensation of you being killed, that's in a whole nother video. We can take care of that shit on paper too. But that's how you get rid of that X.